What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So this is a continuation of my video where I actually mentioned CD Projekt Red having sold 20 million copies of Cyberpunk 2077, even though they hurt the industry for the long term, and they also hurt their reputation. They also refused to show their PlayStation 4 version of their game before release. Even though it was buggy, they released it like that. And so my own argument today is, I've seen people make this categorization of Gotham Knights that the developers canceled the PlayStation 4 version in order for them to be able to make more money and charge more for the PS5 version, yet the game doesn't even look like a next-gen game. Now, this is a very, very interesting categorization, but what we're going to do is we're going to let some facts get in the way of that argument because it's so funny that you would see something like that. Now, what I've done is I've taken some of the pricing of some games that are not next-gen games, and we've looked at how they've been priced because of the platform, be it PS4 or PS5 for the games. So I went ahead and looked at Sony's first-party exclusives like Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West has a PlayStation 4 Standard Edition that's $60. Then it has a PS5 and PS4 Standard Edition that's $70. I think this was something that was initially tweaked because people eventually found out that you could actually upgrade this to the PS5 version without any issues. Plus, this game was getting overshadowed heavily by, Elden Ring. And so I think they were just all these concessions that were made in that time frame. If you remember exactly what happened, correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong about that. But then its deluxe edition is $80. But this is not a next-gen game. Or is it? Or they're just selling a higher, price for the PS5 version. I think that's the case. The PS5 versions of games are actually priced more, regardless of whether the game is a next-gen game or not. I think this is something that Sony and Microsoft implemented. So when your game is coming out on that platform, you have to price it that way, right? Now, let's move on to God of War Ragnarok. Ragnarok has a standard edition for the PlayStation 4, and it has a standard edition for the PS5. So basically the same game on both platforms, and you're paying more money because the PS5 version. Now, you might argue and say, but the PS5 version is going to, in quote, look better. It's going to have more features and so on and so forth. I don't care. On PC, we have those features as well. The game looks better. I play God of War on about 120 FPS on my PC, the first version of the game, which is going to be very similar to the second version. And I did not pay more money than, for some, PC edition or something like that. So just because of the hardware, that's why Sony and Microsoft are charging, or at least putting or influencing these prices for this point. So they are trying to make money on the backs of their gamers, and I think it's absolutely absurd having spent money to buy a new platform to pay more money. But in the case of Gotham Knights is getting dragged that it's because they wanted to make more money and charge more that they're actually, in this position where they cancel the last generation of the games. But I doubt that that's the case because the PC requirements that are getting cash from Gotham Knights is showing that, this game is needing some hardware that is actually better than the PlayStation 4. In fact, significantly better than the PlayStation 4. I remember back in 2016 when I built my first computer. I had a PlayStation 4 then. The computer had an i5 6500. That was the computer that was the chip that I had. That my first computer in this day and age will probably not even make the minimum recommendations, but I think it will because the 6500 and 6600 were actually somewhat subsets in that same generation of Intel processors. Then it needs 4 gigs of VRAM. I had an RX 480 that had 4 gigs of VRAM. So barely I would make the requirements, but that platform could run the Division at 60 FPS, which we never got a console 60 FPS of the Division till the Xbox Series console. So those consoles were already weak to start with. Let me also show you another game that's going to be getting a high price as well, which is Midnight Suns. $70 for its enhanced or base edition. Digital edition is $80 and $100 for its legendary edition. Now, you could criticize Gotham Knights for saying, the jump from your standard edition to your deluxe edition is way too high. I agree with that. In fact, I say yes, because this has only one thing, the Visionary Pack, and it's getting, $20 more for that Visionary Pack. So for most people, I would argue that you should buy Gotham Knights on the standard edition and wait for that, visionary pack to go down to about $10, and then you get your money's worth. You're not obligated to spend all that money. So that is the criticism that I will give Gotham Knights in this video in its pricing. But when it comes to the other games, I think most gamers are not being objective as to how they're looking at Gotham Knights in terms of all of the available data. And this is where I'm a little bit torn, because I strongly believe that CD Projekt Red did something that was quite shady. They left their PlayStation 4 version to come out in a buggy state. And I remember clearly, and I said this in my last video, the entire conversation around the game, I remember SkillUp giving his review on PC and talking about the issues that he felt were there, but also mentioning that the PlayStation 4 version had not been tested or even given any light. Yet, you're seeing the PlayStation 5 version of this game right here in front of you. I mean, this is the playable game, and you've been seeing this game for a long time in terms of its, gameplay for almost 2 years now, if not more than 2 years. And there's a lot of different aspects to it. So I think if you weigh things and you want to be objective, and call me biased, but I know that I'm giving my fair shake to this game in terms of trying to be objective, because honestly, if you were to actually say how I feel about this concept, my hype is actually, taking a while to get to where it is right now. I think the only thing that got me super hyped was, or I would say a little bit more excited anyways, was a PC, trailer that was done the other day where I got to see some of the textures and the graphics in full display. And that's where I went, okay, I think this game seems to have an interest in optimizing the PC version to be very well structured. But overall, we know that this game is not a next-gen game. It just happened to be a game that had to go ahead and make the hard decision to leave a potential 100 million units of PlayStation 4 possibilities in order not to have the Cyberpunk fiasco go on. You think about it, Horizon Forbidden West is just the PlayStation 4 version put on your PS5, having a few more visual aspects to it. I don't want to downplay it, but I don't think it's worth the extra money. Why? You buy a new machine, like say on PC, and that machine can play your video games in better fidelity, but you do not get the extra charge. So I don't see any reason why, because on PC, we've been playing games at higher frame rates and all of the above for years now. And so I'm just curious as to how this conversation has turned into this place where Gotham Knights is getting all this flack, yet all these other games are flying under the radar. Is it because you all are playing favorites? Those of you that are making this argument, it's okay to say you're playing favorites, but it's not okay for you to have subjective judgment, because it really does make that evaluation look bad. Now, I also understand, and I'm going to give another criticism for the Gotham Knights developers, that they went ahead and changed their minds very close to the release of the game. They did that somewhere around May after the Nightwing and Red Hood reveal. That really rubbed a lot of people wrong, finding out that, a few months afterwards, because if they had at least known a year before, it would have probably helped in the situation. And so them doing that and making that choice really did rub off wrong on the community. And I would say to them that should have been that decision should have been made much better in a sense. But I think it was a bold decision, and a decision that is going to work out for them, because right now, if you wanted to make your way into the entry level of, say, the current gen consoles, there is a method that you can actually use to do that. You can get an Xbox Series S, and I think that's another thing that a lot of folk are not paying a lot of attention to, is that the Series S is actually capable of getting the job done, coming in at a lower price point. So it's not 100% a loss. In my opinion, I think that, this game has just gotten such an unfair shake. And I think maybe part of it is the marketing too, and not being clear, because I think when the developers made the cancellation of the last gen version, it was done somewhat quietly, and the community did not necessarily see any public statement towards that effect. I think what should have been done is the game director, or someone in charge, to have done a segment or a message to the fans saying, hey, we canceled this version because of A, B, C, D, and E. And I think that would have probably helped, smooth out the situation very well. But anyways, I wanted to make sure that I made this video and I argued this case from that perspective, so that we can put that side of things to rest, so that when we give the criticism, for Gotham Knights, our criticism is actually valid, that our criticism is not coming from a place of maybe, being butthurt, because I think that's mostly what it is. Some people are just upset about it, and I get it. My a member of my household I wanted to play Gotham Knights as well with, but when the PS4 version got canceled, I had to scrounge up to find a way to get a gaming PC set up for them. I had to dig into my, junk of computer components that I put aside a while ago. So thankfully, I was able to find them and put together, but not everybody's able to do that. And I can get it I can definitely understand, not everybody can even, right now go get a PS5 or a Series S or X. But at the end of the day, I think whenever we make these assessments, we really have to be fair as to how we go ahead and look at things. And that is where my conversation ends for this particular video. So I hope you guys can actually get where I'm coming from, because I think it's just interesting overall. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I'd like to know how you see all of this and what your thoughts are overall. Leave your comments and we'll get to conversing in the comment section. So thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Peace out.